sort of motion or anything. If you want to make a comment or whatever, you can.
They can't hear you.
I have a motion as a recommendation at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, make your motion.
Okay. To our chairman, Attorney Ray Smith, to the Stone Mountain Memorial Association Board, after receiving many phone calls, emails, letters, and having meetings with local community leaders, the DeKalb County politicians, Stone Mountain communities, and several other organizations in DeKalb and around Georgia. As a result of these meetings, I have compiled a list of 10 recommendations for the board to consider for future park changes, if I may, please. And I have a list of those, and I will read them to you all. They're very similar, and some of these things we have heard before, Mr. Chair, and I just wanted to put it on the record as a record, please. My first, I would like to make a motion for these 10 recommendations. Number 1, task force. Mr. Chair, you already have dealt with the task force a little bit, but I want to get a little more detail, and I move that within 90 days of today, the Stone Mountain Memorial Association create a task force that will assist the Stone Mountain Memorial Association with re-entering Stone Mountain Park. The task force will include representatives from the Stone Mountain Association Board, but not to exceed more than 50% of the board members. Also, that this task force will consist of members of the City of Stone Mountain, DeKalb County, politicians, and community leaders, and create a charter that will put a package together that we can make a recommendation back to this board in 90 days to get some things started here in the park. That's recommendation number 1, or motion number 1. Motion number 2, an anti-racial statement.
Wait. Let's take care of motion number 1.
Okay, we can do it individually.
What was your motion number 1?
That you have already appointed Bill Swift to chair the head of a committee, but I would recommend that we make up a committee with at least some people from the community, and it does not consist of more than 50% of this committee be a part of this board. That
was not a motion, that was a directive from me as chairman that I have a right to do. I didn't.
Right, I agree with you 100%, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we add more than the 4 people. You said 4 people that you're going to ask to be on that committee, and I would ask that you add on people from the community and some of the local politicians on to that committee be selected. And that is truly your right to appoint those individuals. I'll ask you to expand the committee to include more than 4 people and not just include the board, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. Is that your motion?
That's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, he's made a motion. Is there a second? All right, the motion's made and seconded. Is there discussion?
Chairman, I just believe we don't know too much about this motion to do an educated vote, in my opinion. But since there's a motion and there's a second, I guess we'll go along with the vote. But I will be voting against this because I don't know what.
Right. I will have to say, Mr. Levitt, that you've kind of thrown this at us, thrown all these at us without discussing this during our work session or anything else. So I think it's going to have a hard time passing any of these resolutions today. But we'll take them up one at a time.
Okay, Mr. Chair, it's pretty simple. As chairman of the board, I'm just making a motion that we add more people to it.
Okay, well, you've made a motion. It's been seconded. There's been discussion. Is there a call to question, or is there other discussion?
Mr. Chair, you didn't ask me any new business in the meeting this morning. I would have brought it up, but you didn't ask me, so I didn't think it was appropriate.
Okay. Well, let's then call the question. All in favor of Mr. Levitt's motion signify by saying aye. So that's 2. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
No, on the phone.
6.
Thank you.
So the motion fails. Okay, what's your next motion?
Motion number 2, an anti-racial statement. I move that the Stone Mountain Board Association create an anti-racial statement that will be public and available on our association website. And that Stone Mountain Park, as well as the Stone Mountain website, and have this on the website on before November the 30th, 2020. That's my motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is there a second for that motion? No second.
Okay.
All right. Okay, second that motion. Is there discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I believe all of these items are certainly items that need to be discussed. Perhaps a more appropriate remedy, other than carrying them all as motions here, will be to present them through the process that we've identified earlier today, so that there can be substantive discussions about it. An anti-racism statement, aside from legal constraints, I think is an obvious thing that a lot of people would support. If you have on here, by November 30th, I'm not sure that's realistic. I think it perhaps deserves much more time and consideration than that. And I would say that maybe the best avenue to address these items would be to make a motion to direct them to be considered by our CEO as this new process is being put together.
I agree with you, but this should be considered by the board. Now, if you stated, I stated earlier, the recommendation put in motion for this to be discussed. I didn't say pass, I'm not trying to get this passed today. I want it on the record. Some of these items have already been presented by the Stone Mountain Action Coalition. These are some of the statements they have made, and I've added some to those. This is not new information that we received today. We have received some of this information, where I got some of this information. This is not anything personal done for me. This is stuff that has been presented to this board in the past. And what I was trying to do is just consolidate it all. I didn't want to go through each one of them individually. I want to read all 10 of them, and for the board to consider in the future that we can get done. These just recommendations that can be added, adjusted, or denied. I want to attempt to go on each one of them individually, but that we consider this and discuss it in our future meeting. But the chairman insists that I do it individually and make and vote on it.
Okay. Yes.
We got a motion on the table. Terry?
Motion to table as precedent.
Okay.
Motion to table has precedent over.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. There's a motion to table. Is there a second to motion to table this discussion of all these items until we've had chance to vet this and discuss it further and more in depth? Second. All in favor of the motion to table, signify by saying aye.
So, Mr. Chair, you motioned that I cannot present these recommendations to the board and be printed.
You presented them, and we need to look at them and study them before.
Yeah, you've drafted this all as new motion to us in a public forum. We usually consider these things and have time to vet them and think about them and go over them, Mr. Levitt. You know how this works.
I agree with you, Mr. Chair. I have it with me this morning. It was never brought up to give me an opportunity. There's nowhere on here for anything to add if you had an agenda, and I obeyed the agenda. Also, since August, since we had our last meeting, the meeting in September was a public hearing. It was not a meeting. I did not have an opportunity to present. And you said we would get together and talk about it, but we haven't had any discussion, not with me, since August. And all I was trying to do, Mr. Chair, is to make sure that the information that I have prepared that be listed in the minutes and be read.
Well,
If
these
I need to take it away as a motion and just read it as a recommendation, I would do that.
Okay. All right. So there's a motion to table, and it's seconded All those in favor of tabling these items for further discussion at a later time, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
You can ask for the opposed, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're opposed. Any is opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, so we won in opposition. Okay. Any other new business?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Just a moment, Sherry. Mr. Levitt, you have, earlier in the board meeting, the chairman suggested or told me that I was going to be put in charge of a project to vet all various ideas that come from the Stone Mountain Action Coalition and come from other sources as well. And I'm going to do that. I know how to listen and I know how to lead. And I'm going to I'll vet each of these as you presented them as well. So I just wanted to say that to you personally. And I don't think that the board has had enough time to consider the various options, but I guarantee you that they will. So I just wanted to say that.
Mr. Chair, I understand that you're going to appoint 4 people to serve on that committee. I'm asking you, will you appoint me to be a part of that committee?
We will consider those things. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I understand I'm out of turn, but, we present, I don't know exactly